Hey everyone, how's it going? We're here today because there's some new announcements by Square Enix that could possibly trigger what we think might be the start of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 announcements. So, without further ado, let's take a look at all this. The community is already in an uproar about what. Let's take a look at the Final Fantasy page. Now, if you go into the Final Fantasy page, you'll see that they've announced not this, but for the Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis mobile game, which you all know it's a game that essentially contains everything in the Final Fantasy. It's a mobile game that contains everything in the Final Fantasy VII universe into one neat package, like Before Crisis, Crisis Core, the OG game, and even some elements from that we haven't seen before, like Sephiroth's story from The First Soldier. There was another mobile game that came out a little bit earlier as well. So that game has been out. It's celebrating its second anniversary, and as we can see here, Square Enix is having a little event, a little community event, in which we can see in this promotional image they're showing young Sephiroth and young Angeal. Angeal is a character from Crisis Core. We originally met him in Crisis Core. He was the first owner of the Buster Sword that was then passed down. It's a bit spoilery, but it was then passed down to Zack and then to Cloud. So, there's going to be an event. Those of you who are in the LA area, it says, celebrate the Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis 2-year anniversary at the Seventh Heaven Experience at Boba Bear, Koreatown, Los Angeles, with a Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis English Community Preview Day on September 7th. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis players may apply for a chance at a free reservation. So, yeah, you might want to, if you live in the area, you might want to get into that. But what's really interesting about this is that, first of all, players, fans of not just Ever Crisis, but the entire Final Fantasy VII community will be able to get together. Now, what one person, or actually a couple of people I saw commentating on this, they were pointing back to an earlier interview last year by Final Fantasy VII, and I'd like to thank, let me see who it was. It was, I just want to give the proper credits, Gamer Tifa7, who pointed this out to me, and everyone else. She posted a link to an article from last year by an interview by Automaton Media. It was an interview with the co-director Motomu Toriyama. For those of you who don't know him, he was also the director and producer of Final Fantasy XIII, the Final Fantasy XIII series. Anyway, he's also the director of Ever Crisis, as we can see here. So, yeah. So it says here, this is the interesting part. This is the interesting part that we need to take notice of. He says, in his comments about Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis' second anniversary in September... By the way, this interview, as I've already mentioned, was made last year. So it was made the 9th of September, 2024. So anyway, going back. He says that in his comments about Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis' second anniversary in September 2025, Toriyama reveals that by then, we may have started to release information about the last part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, so I hope the players will get excited about that with us. This suggests that by September 2025, we may have already received concrete information about the last game in the trilogy, including its title, platform, trailers, and even a release date. Now, we have none of those. We don't have any of that information as of yet, so it does hint at a potential information dump, at a potential info dump for this event, which was, where was it? Let me just find it again. So yeah, it's it does seem highly likely that we might get some info at the event, which is set to be held on September 7th. So, this is really likely, and it's something that gives us a bit of hope, a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, because Square Enix have really gone into radio silence when it comes to the last part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's something that the fans also respect, because, we want to give the developers a bit of time to actually develop the game, to make the game in their own vision, because we know, for those of us that have played the original Final Fantasy VII, we know that this is where everything sort of boils down after what happened at the end of the second game. I won't say what happened if someone hasn't played it, but after that event takes place, sort of everything starts to come together, and we get that sort of like a whole bunch of huge scenes, and we just want to give the developers time to recreate all that and just make it as huge and as big as possible, and just bring it to current gen, actually, in a way that only they can, like they've already done with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. And honestly, I feel like the fact that people haven't already come out and requested information about this game, but just been waiting patiently for the developers to do their own thing, I feel like that just shows that we have faith in what they do, that the fan base has faith in what the developers are doing. Now, another piece of potential information for this event is the fact that when this went up on Instagram, we got a little comment here from Britt Baron, for those of you who don't know, she's the actress, she's the voice actress of Tifa, and she says, "Can I bartend?" And she put a little wink emote, which means that, I don't know, she might potentially be there, she might not. Don't know. They might need a hostess for this event. We might get, apart from Britt Baron, we might get some other voice actors at this event. It's incredible how much this huge group of talented voice actors and actresses have embraced this game, have made it their own, have been together with the community along this journey of many, many years. It's been almost like a decade. And when this all culminates and sort of comes to an end, I mean, Final Fantasy VII never ends, right? But when the remake journey comes to an end, it'll be awesome to see their reactions as well, to finally see how they say goodbye to one another, because we know that they're probably still recording, right? They're probably still in the booth and, recording their line. They're each playing off one another and acting. But anyway, that's something else entirely. I just think that this here might be another hint about a potential, I don't know, it could be the start. I don't think, the fact that Brie Barron, who's the voice actress for Tifa, commented on this, it could potentially point at some sort of information leak. Not leak, I don't want to say leak, because leak is when someone else does it, but some sort of to the fact that Square Enix might actually be ready to give us a little bit of information about Part 3. I don't think that they would actually reveal the title of Part 3 at a community event. I think that they would do that on a much bigger stage, like maybe the Game Awards later this year, or I'm thinking a bit more towards next year's Summer Game Fest, like they did with Part 2. But honestly, the roadmap I'm seeing, and I've agreed with a lot of people within the community about this, which is what makes me think that this may be a bit too premature, that they might reveal something at this event. Even if we do get some sort of information about Part 3, it will be really small. So, because the roadmap that I'm seeing about this game, it's like we might get a big trailer at Summer Game Fest, and that's when the huge marketing push will begin. Summer Game Fest, then Gamescom, another trailer, and then next September 2026 is when we get the really big push. That's when they really start going all out with marketing, like trailers, like social media posts about new locations and stuff like that, and events. And then they release it in January, at the end of January, which a lot of people have pointed towards a January 30th, 2027 release date, which coincides with the I think the 30th anniversary of the OG Final Fantasy VII in Japan, which would be perfect, It's a perfect date. It's a perfect culmination of everything. It wraps up everything really neatly. Like the Final Fantasy VII project comes to an end in such an amazing way when you do it like that. And I think it's not too long of a wait. I mean, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth released in 2024, if I'm not mistaken, which was last year, right? It was last year. So honestly, for them to give us information in 2025, like a year and a half later, that is way too soon. That is way too soon, which is what makes me believe that, we might get a bit of info. Like, yes, we're putting the airship in, but I don't think we'll get anything like a trailer. Like, if you're hoping for a trailer, I think you might get a little bit disappointed. You might get trailers for Ever Crisis. You might get, there might be a big event for Ever Crisis, right? But for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, I think we're still going to have to wait. Like I said, we might get information. We might get, someone might be there from the development team, like Toriyama, or even Yoshinori Kitase. I wouldn't say Nomura, because Nomura doesn't show up at events. But Yoshinori Kitase might be there, and he might be all like, you know what? We're going to be doing this. Or, no, Hamaguchi. Hamaguchi might be there, because, he loves doing these community events as well. And he's really close with the community. So Naoki Hamaguchi might be there. And they might talk about this event with the fans. And, just say that, we're putting the high wind in the game. So you might have an airship. You might be able to have an airship and fly around in the world freely. Or you might be able to return to these places from Rebirth, as well as explore new locations. Or you might have the whole world. You might have an open world to explore that contains all the areas from the original Final Fantasy VII. Or you might be able to do this and that. Like, they might do an info dump on Final Fantasy VII Part 3. But I really, really don't think that we'll be getting any visuals on the game. Like, they might be holding back on that because, first of all, don't forget that we have Final Fantasy VII Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, coming out at the end of September, right? So for them to do this, it will draw away all the attention from Final Fantasy, from that game, from Tactics. So they won't want to do that. It will be like shooting themselves in the leg, right? So anything that has to do with visuals, I think we should wait for it to be seen either at the Game Awards or even further next year's Summer Game Fest, which does require a bit more patience from us, but still, I think the developers have done such a great job with these two games that they totally deserve it. Plus, Ever Crisis, I think, still has a story to tell, which will lead into the third part of Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, that's about it from me and all my rumors and potential things that might happen about Final Fantasy VII and the third part of this incredible project that has brought us some amazing moments. If you want to see more from Rebirth, by the way, you can check out my upcoming live streams, because I'm still trying to finish it on hard mode, which is quite a challenge, trust me. But yeah, anyway, other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to see more of them, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I do these sort of videos occasionally when anything that has to do with the Final Fantasy franchise pops out. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye everyone. See ya.